This is why I love to do the Monica Go podcast, because people that are so magnificent, like Coach MJ Tolan, is here today. And I just want to call out to all of you that if you're down and low, this is the time to get up and get just so strong and positive. He is just a world magnet. He has helped so many. But you know what? It's out of his own life, out of his own suffering, out of his own place that he has exploded for thousands and thousands of people around the globe. Coach, I am so happy to see you. I can't wait to hug you, to be sincere. But welcome aboard to the Monica Go podcast, going back to basics. You could just be you as you always make people just turn around their thoughts, their thinking. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Monica. I can't wait to hug you too, and Manny. I miss you guys. It's crazy that I haven't seen you, but it's gonna happen soon enough. And right now, at least, we're able to have this little session here virtually. So there's my virtual hug, both arms around you, and all around your audience today as we get ready to go into what we call our holiday festive season. And so why not put a smile on our face? We met last time in the Philippines, one of the most joyous countries in the world, and they start celebrating Christmas right around the Christmas songs come on the radio right around September the 1st. That's a true story. And the malls are decorated. It's the longest Christmas season in the world. And so for those reasons, I'm already jacked up. I was listening to Christmas music this morning, right before I got you, just to kind of get into the whole groove here. And I can't wait to talk to you about this, the things that we're doing. And of course, unpacking my story a little bit, I'll just share with your audience very quickly that my wife and I were childless for 8 years. We were really going through a hard time. She was more than I, because I still was a business person traveling from country to country in my different offices, and she was going through all the doctors and the medical tests, etc., and things just weren't working. And so it really looked like we were going to have to adopt. And she kind of grabbed, at the time, I'm dating myself, she grabbed me by the ponytail. Sorry. And she said, we're going to go down to the orphanage. So we did. And I went down there and we did like a little Christmas party for the orphans there. And I thought, okay, maybe we are going to adopt. And so about 3 or 4 weeks after that happened, I got a call from the doctor, and he said, Mr. Tolan, can you hear me? I said, I was in Prague and he was in Lebanon. I said, you're going to have twins. In those days, there was no video call, so I just had to put all my emotions through the phone, and it was more like a threat. You better be telling me the truth. And it was just,
you received this message.
Yeah, right. But it was like, hallelujah, right? So when we found that out, it was just really like a wow. And what the call to action was, since we knew that was going to happen, and hallelujah, give back. That was like, how could you not give thanks to that one, right? We've been to China, America, all kinds of doctors, all kinds of therapies, and here it was. Finally, we hit the Holy Grail. We're going to be blessed with twins. I mean, not just one, it's like double. So
double for your trouble.
Exactly right. So good going. And, what a boost to the male ego. I'm going to have twins, So all that going on, you think, wow, we're really going to hit it. So right before the children were going to be born, I'd organized a give back. It was just simply a little bit of a ceremony. It was going to be taking 37 orphans to the Prague Zoo. That was it. But because we knew that we could not find them parents, we thought, okay, what we'll do, because I've been in sales, you've probably been in sales, we all know turn a negative into a positive. So I said, why don't we make them the parents? And so we adopted a kangaroo from the zoo, sponsored the kangaroo, called him Boomerang. Karmically, what you give comes back. A pouch for room for another child on a kangaroo. So it's already like a built-in metaphor. And I had certificates made up for all these children. And I had a translator at the zoo, and we had a real ceremony in front of this kangaroo. I had them all raise their hands and swore them in to become moms and dads of this kangaroo. I made these orphans become parents. Crystallizing moment, changed our lives, changed their lives. You saw the electrified look on their faces. I didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. It was the most wonderful day. And the bad news was it had to end because I needed to get on a plane and watch my twins be born the next morning. That was the thing. So at this point, we just got fired up and addicted, and we did one event after the other that year. And it was just kind of like goodwill. It was almost like a CSR, you know? So it was goodwill. It made us feel good. It got the team involved. That was great. And I just saw all the benefits of it and no downside. So we kept going on, and we did it in a few more events in the Czech Republic, and then we did a couple in Lebanon, then we did one in Bahrain. As this thing grew, we said, do you think maybe we should register as a charity? Because we're doing a lot. So we did. We registered in the Czech Republic, we registered in Lebanon. Not that we were going to raise money, because our whole mantra was we're raising fun for kids, not funds. So we didn't want people to think that we were using this opportunity to put cups out on the street and have them take their donations, because our businesses were doing fine, and we were, funding it for everything that we needed, and doing just great. And what we really wanted to do, and what I still want to do, and I still do, and this is 25 years later, we're the Pied Pipers of community service. So we want to ring the bell. If there's something going on and we can get involved in it and we can make some noise doing it, we want to make sure that other community leaders hear about it. Maybe they want to get involved. Maybe they want to show up and maybe show their logo, or sponsor some t-shirts, or sponsor taking kids to the movie or something. So we found that to be quite a serendipitous phenomenon, because I was in a mall one day in Bahrain, and I'd just taken 400 kids to a dolphinarium doing the same thing. I made them all moms and dads of a dolphin. Okay. I stole the idea from myself. How about that? No lawsuit involved. So we had a great time with them. And then one guy came up to me. He was like a real bigwig in that country. And he goes, why you don't follow me? I have big mall. We can do next. And I went, oh my gosh, there's really ego involved. That's great. Because I got this guy motivated that he wants to be a sponsor next time. There we go.
Right.
So that's how we were able to do it. We did involve some sponsors. We let the printers print the hats, and we let some companies, if they wanted to sponsor a thing at McDonald's for the kids, or help us sponsor the bus. So that went on for the first couple of years. And then we found out that we were standing in the United Nations environment. We had just donated a statue to the United Nations. My wife had commissioned a statue of a cedar tree in Lebanon. Quite a brilliant idea of hers.
Wow.
And on the cedar tree were doves, 16 doves. And these 16 doves represented all the religions of Lebanon. So there was not one dove higher than the other. They were all equal, and they're all sharing the symbol of Lebanon, the cedar tree, which is mentioned in the Bible so many times, the cedars of Lebanon. So the First Lady of Lebanon was invited. Our charity was celebrating, I think, our first or second anniversary. There was the United Nations emissary was there. All these people were there. I'm in a photo call. Now, there's the First Lady next to me here. And the United Nations guy saying, hey, this is a great idea. This time for sharing is sharing time. But, we have a lot of holes down in southern Lebanon because there's landmines. And it would look really nice if we would put a tree inside the hole. Would you help us put trees inside the hole? And I looked over at the First Lady like this, as if she'd been a buddy of mine for 20 years. I just nudged her with my elbow and said, let's do it. And I had just at that moment, I saw the security people like getting ready to jump me, to make sure, because you're not supposed to nudge the First Lady in a photo call. They're just like,
exactly.
You should never do that. Anyway, I did. So we planned this thing over a few weeks, and at the end of the day, we got 400 volunteers. We went down to southern Lebanon. We planted 3,000 carob trees. They had to be carob so they could give fruit back to the village. And we built a children's park. And then when we found out we could do that kind of social event, that kind of changed the whole thing. Then we went into education, then we went into music festivals. So we've been doing a lot from that. And those were all funded by our businesses. And of course, we continue to do that. However, as things change, life does have a way of hitting you on the head sometimes. We had no idea. We didn't see it coming. The Lebanon melted down. We came back to the States to kind of restart life here. And I went through a little, health diagnosis. And through my health diagnosis, I discovered that I had to use my attitude on myself. And so when I was going through cancer, I decided that cancer better be afraid of me, And I'd already been doing my own I'm Possible seminars and workshops for years, all of these different countries. And one of those days, after about the third or fourth day of after I got the diagnosis, because the guy goes, "You would you like the good news or the bad news?" I said, "Oh, give me the good news. I'm a tough guy." He goes, "You have cancer." "What's the good news?" "Well, now we know." Oh my gosh, that was a really tough pill to swallow. But after about 4 days of wearing this pity party, why me? I then got the whole thing idea, why not me? And so when I went to do, believe this or not, when I went for chemo, I didn't go for chemo. I went for battle. I'd already ordered costumes on Amazon. I went in dressed up, full regalia. I looked like Russell, Russell Crowe from The Gladiator. I looked
Yeah, for sure.
just like the Gladiator and nothing like Russell Crowe. But I walked in with a costume on, and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. The next time I go in with a different costume, I'm a samurai warrior. The next time I go in, I'm a knight of the Templars. And it was just like, amazing. And all of the people who thought I was crazy on the fourth time couldn't wait to see me. And then I started noticing,
Oh, wow.
Monica, I started noticing some of the patients sitting up and their families sitting up, and these people who had already given up were somehow getting inspired and getting a little bit of hope and chuckling and giving me that little knowing wink, like, go get them. And I just continued to sail through that. That's what I did. And when I decided to push this out further, in my last day, I was told, in my last thing, they told me, listen, it's come back. And after a year, it's come back and you have no choice. You have to have that surgery we talked about. And I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I said, well, you've got two choices. You can, it's kind of like Carol Merrill's got door number 3. You can either get the surgery we're telling you need to have, or you can go down the hall to end of days counseling. I let that one sit for about 4.5 seconds. I said, okay, let's talk about surgery. So while I was in the hospital getting the surgery done, I was writing a book because I knew that was what I needed to do, tell some story. It wasn't about this particular thing. I was writing a book with a bunch of my colleagues. We were putting together something called Unleashing Firepower. It was a real, firebrand leadership book. But I said to myself, this is my shovel to dig myself out of this. And if I can get out of here, good Lord, I promise I'm going to the Philippines. I'm going to work with cancer kids. I'm going to turn my advocacy over to this. That's what I will do. And, as you probably know, when I went out to the Philippines, I went out for Leaders of All Nations International to meet all of you wonderful people. But I'd already had issues. I'd already made contacts with these cancer homes, and we went in there, and I went as Santa Claus in the tropics. By the way, if you're ever thinking about a costume to wear in the tropics, don't pick Santa, because that's a really hot costume. Just tell you, there's no air conditioning. But that's what I did, and I loved it. We loved it. We did it. We did it there. The kids loved it. We gave them also certificates and prizes and things like that. And so now we have 2 cancer centers that we advocate for there. I did another event in Thailand while I was in Asia. Why not just put a little spin on it because I was going there. So now here's where we are today. Today I just got information back. So we have our annual event in the Philippines on the 7th of December is one of the cancer homes for about 45 kids, and then another cancer house for about 50 kids, and that's on the 17th. That's what we're doing there. We have another event going on in India this year on the 19th of November. We have another event here in Orlando. We're joining forces with a great charity and those guys have about 200 kids. Their base camp, they've been doing it for years. So we're going to be joining forces with them. Yours truly will be Santa, and I'll bring in over a couple of animators, volunteers. One of my volunteers will be a kangaroo, which is our mascot. And inside that kangaroo would be the very seed of our whole charity. A 25-year-old daughter of mine will be our kangaroo. And that's just really touching to me because that's how it all started, right? So that's what we do. That's who we are. That's what we're doing. And anybody's welcome to contact us. We're timeforsharing.org. And we're registered here in the United States now. Now we're Time for Sharing Mission I'm Possible Corp. And
Beautiful.
yeah, that's what
Even though I know a bit and I know you, but I when you tell these stories and you just fill the room because you are an inspiration. And I have to be part of the one here in Orlando, at least to start. I need to know where to go. And if you want to come, because we're here in Orlando, he travels the world. He, as you heard, he helps the kids. What are we doing? Are we doing something for somebody else? I saw him in the Philippines working, and everybody, everybody honors and a global impact. You've helped over 16,000 kids around the world. You're doing so much more. What has you inspired, impacted? What is a thought that you have for the people nowadays? What would you teach people now with all of the experience that you have? Somebody that's without hope, that doesn't have at all hope, what would you say?
Yeah, the fact that you can take a breath is just notification that you still have a chance. And the fact that you can take two breaths can give you a chance to kick back just for a minute and go, okay, wonder what the third one's going to be like. And then once you can catch your breath, whatever you're going through, and then find a way to feel better. And one of the ways you can feel better, I know this is going to sound crazy and you might not feel like doing it, but if you can find a way to lift somebody else up, find a way to serve somebody else, find a way to make somebody go to the Publix near you and make the cashier laugh, do anything to give. Because when you give of yourself, that's the whole magic. I know, we're not all perfect. And, I don't want any accolades for this. I'm going to tell you right now, I do it because it makes me feel really great. I love it. There's nothing I enjoy more doing than doing this with the kids. And now we've just written this children's book, which I want to get out there. I want to do a plug for it here. It's called The I'm Possible Adventures of Boomer, the Kangaroo. Hello, hello. So, but inside the book, there is a story about how Boomer fights cancer. You won't believe what she did. She goes and buys costumes. Can you believe this? And she wears them into treatment. So she's got a superhero cape, and her cape says I'm possible on it. And that's the children's book. It's now free as a coloring book on our website. And it can now download one of the chapters about her fighting cancer. That's on there too. And we want to get it to as many educators and schools and cancer centers as we can, not only here in our local area, Orlando, but of course, everywhere else in the world where we have ambassadors. In Ghana this year is another new area that we're going into. India, I just mentioned before. And of course, the Philippines have been really important to me for years, and we're doing big events out there. We want to continue, and anybody who wants to give, anybody who wants to volunteer, it's all started with give time to kids. That's our whole deal. That's who we are. And we've been really blessed to be working with people like Dr. Timothy Shriver of the Special Olympics. He came out to Lebanon, and we had 400 kids out there also with his organization, and we were able to serve them and have a great luncheon with him. Of course, everybody wanted to know, all the stories about his uncle, John F. Kennedy, but he doesn't want to hear that. But it was really fun just meeting and people like that, Prince Albert from Monaco, all these people that we have accidentally met as a result of this. Now, we didn't set out, there was no business plan, there was no plan at all. It just kind of, this is where, the Lord
Right.
is taking us through all this. And I hope he still does, because I think I'm in this kind of environmental mode where I want to throw out batons. I want people to pick up the mantles. I want to share this responsibility, share this joy, share this magic is what I'm doing.
Yes.
Get in
Yes.
here and let's have some fun. This is an unknown playground, and the sandbox is a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
Let's make some mud pies with these kids.
Sometimes we just get stuck in places and people have lost their hope. This is why the Monica Go podcast is going back to basics. People lose their hope, need people like you all around. We need to listen to you. We need to hug on you, and we need to definitely bring it all up. So we're going to have all his information on this podcast. Everywhere you can locate MJ, you're going to locate him. You're going to be able to contact him if you want his books to take to other communities. You could do that as well, which is, I think it's empowering. It's empowering. We have it in English, the book, or we have it in other languages already?
For now, I have it in English. It's published in English. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's on Amazon, of course, and Ingram Sparks. So those are the three platforms that it's on. And I'm sure that I will find some people in the future who will help us translate it into Spanish. I don't know if you know anybody that speaks Spanish, Monica, if you can just
I will translate your book.
Have a think about that. There's a possibility. I mean, there's only a few Spanish speakers in the world anyway. It's like what, number 4?
Just a few.
So yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. And my kids speak Arabic and French, so there's a possibility there too later on. We'll see. We'll see. Step by step. Every journey begins with 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So this was the first step. It was great to be able to do it. I look forward to producing more children's books. That was a lot of fun. I've done lots of books, but that one was just real pure joy writing that story because it was all true, pretty much.
Going to be speaking in any platform here in the States or somewhere that people can know where to find you because they want to see you as well.
Yeah. I have a speaker website. It's coachmjtolan.com. That's where all my speaker stuff is professionally. But here's what I've done. I have myself, and I have a couple of other speakers who I know who are participating in this. All of my speaker fees go directly into my charity. So if a company does connect with us and they want us to do a workshop on corporate social responsibility, they want me to do a workshop on leadership. That's a big thing of mine. I've written several books on leadership. I was a CEO for 15 years, and the first thing I wrote in my leadership book is, if you ever worked for me over these 15 years, I apologize. I was a terrible leader, but here's what I've learned. So in fact, I was so bad that I was the number one customer at the florist because I was always buying roses to say, I'm sorry.
You gotta love him. Well, you gotta love him.
It happened. What can I say? What can I say? I'd be a fraud if I didn't admit it. So we definitely for sure can all learn from our mistakes. And they say that you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Let me tell you, folks, I broke dozens. So dozens and dozens and dozens. But after all of that, now I know where I went wrong. And that's what you do. You self-correct. Even if you're trying to throw darts, if you throw way off to the right, maybe you should pull a little bit to the left and start to autocorrect. And that's what we do. Now, because most of us don't live past 135 years of age, we want to try to learn as fast as we can. And so some of the people that I've learned from were Deepak Chopra and Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy, some of these great mentors that I accepted and I adopted and I followed. And through those years and through those trainings and through those books that I read, I was able to then apply some of that, see how it worked for me, and see if I could get some traction. And as I started to get that, then I started to express myself into books, that's for sure, and also speaking events and also trainings that I do. So I'll probably be doing something else. Sometimes I'll be doing something soon, I think in Dubai, probably in the spring I'll be doing, and that'll be, again, be for the charity. So everything I'm doing right now goes directly to help our projects wherever they are, because they need a lot. And I definitely for sure want to be that one who can stay their big brother and be the quarterback on this whole team.
I love it. I just love it. We're going to have all of Coach MJ's books, information, where you could grab it, where you could see him, everything on all of the description on this podcast, where you could see it or hear it on Spotify, on Apple, and YouTube, everywhere. And we are just on the ball. I just have like tons of energy, like an IV just hit my veins just talking to this man. If you think you're impossible, let me tell you that I am possible. If you just say that to yourself, I am possible, because if MJ just went through all of these things, attitude, and what he did for others, serving others, would have been able to lift him up. We could all do it, can't we? Well, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I have this brother of mine. Yes.
Let us rejoice.
Close it up, my friend. Yes. Just close it up and we're out of here. I love you. I just love this moment.
I'm very, very blessed to be here. Thank you so much, Monica. It's been a joy and a pleasure. And from my house to all of you, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, have faith, know that God is with you. Even if you think there's nobody looking, there's somebody out there, and he's up there protecting you, thinking of you. But of course, it's in your hands. You're going to have to take charge, because the word is impossible, as Audrey Hepburn coined it. But it's up to you to put the apostrophe between the I and the M. And that's your job. God bless you all.